And a good Saturday afternoon here on ABR, Woodbine Live, Path to the Plate, Marine Stakes Edition. JD Fox joined by Chase Sessoms, Jessica Paquette, Ren Carothers, Emily Gullikson. We will have special guest Dawn Lupul from Woodbine shortly to talk two races today. We've got the Grade 2 Nassau and the Grade 3, and most importantly, part of the Path to the Plate coming up in the Marine Stakes. So it's been a while since we've all been on here enjoying Woodbine. And how's everybody doing today?
I'm doing awesome.
Doing well.
Good.
Yes.
Doing great.
So we've got a lot to get through here in the next hour. We are 19 minutes to post time here for a pretty stacked Nassau race featuring fillies and mares going the one-turn mile on the EP Taylor Turf Course at Woodbine. And we're happy all of you guys have joined us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whether it's ABR or Woodbine. Also, we are streaming on ABR's Twitch feed. So hello to the Twitch homies out there, and everybody bug Emily to actually get on Twitch and start streaming again. That will be helpful to all. But I'm going to go ahead and
no, I'm not busy enough following 3 to 5 circuits this time of year. So yeah, when I have that free time, I'll jump right on there.
And it's not like it's a busy week coming up as well with Indiana Derby and everything else happening. I mean, but that's for next week. We'll focus on today here at Woodbine and the Nassau. Obviously, anybody have any first thoughts on this race? It's a very deep field with a favorite that I've been chasing for a long time that does not like me very much.
I was just going to say real quick, I could give some real quick insight. I reached out to Keir McLaughlin regarding the performance in the distaff turf because Louis Saez was aboard. But if you want to go first.
By all means, Ren.
I just want to mention right now, I mean, you're talking about the favorite. I'm assuming you're talking about Lady Spitespear, who's actually quite cold on the board right now. She's currently 5-1, so not the favorite when we want to talk about her in terms of being live right now. The 3 Plum Alley or Ally is the current favorite at 2-1. And the 8, our Flash Drive, taking early money as well. She opened up at 7-2, has drifted a little bit to 4-1. And then the 4 is sitting at her morning line. So if you guys want to talk about Lady Spitespear, and if you like her, you are getting double what the morning line.
I feel like I've been chasing her right along with you, JD. I'm not. I may be done with her today. So
I'm not. Oh no, I'm not.
So go right ahead, Ren.
Well, no, I was just going to say, because I reached out to Kieran. Kieran is, not only was he a tremendous trainer, but Jock's agent now for Louis Saez. Louis Saez was aboard Lady Spitespear there in the distaff turf. And then prior to that as well. And, I asked him because I did watch the race back. And if you look at those times, the times aren't particularly impressive. It's just sort of like, okay, well, what happened there? Because she was hanging a couple lengths off the pace and then just completely folded out of it there at the end to finish a well-distanced 4th. But they do have that new turf course there. I wonder if that was part of it. He said he felt that it was the 3-week turnaround off a really big effort there in the Jenny Wiley, which is true. If you go back and watch the beginning of that race, that start was awful. She was lunging out of the gate, and then she banked to the right, and then she had to be straightened back out. So to put in what she did in finishing 3rd, albeit, distanced over 7 lengths, understandable, especially considering who your winner was in Regal Glory, who was picking up a hat trick that day, and then went on to win again. So I give her the excuse for that. Apart from that, I mean, if you look at who she's been up against. Bleecker Street's beat her twice. She was over good ground. The Hillsboro's a mile and an 1/8. She is undefeated here, 3 for 3 at Woodbine. So I think she's going to be fit and ready to fight here back in for Roger Atfield with Emma Jane Wilson aboard.
Well, Ren, one question I have for you, any concerns, obviously, out of the gate? Has not had problems out of the gate at Woodbine, but has a barrier blanket that she wears now as part of her everyday equipment following a gate scratch at Keeneland last year. Do you think that the environment at Woodbine might help her, some familiar territory?
I do. I mean, as Jessica will tell you, you don't agree. I feel like horses can get very comfortable in their own surroundings. They do understand and routine And there we go. There she is actually on the screen right now with her blinkers on. I think horses do well with routine, and being in her own backyard, I do think helps personally from my experience with horses.
I think you have a point with that as well, but I think some of her behavior in the gate has been more of a learned behavior. It hasn't gotten better; she's gotten older. That's actually more my concern. Being in her home base will certainly help her, but she is one that I wonder if maybe something happened one time and that kind of switched how she behaves around the gate, in the gate. That said, I mean, she's 3 for 3 at Woodbine. She is obviously a quality filly. Everyone, like, it's so easy to root for, Charles Fipke. He loves seeing his horses run. That charms me to death. I actually really like Crystal Cliffs here. The cut back to a 1-turn mile is, I think, really interesting for her.
And we see Plum Alley, who, as Emily mentioned, getting a lot of the early money here at 2-1 off of the 9-2 morning line. Another horse that a little cold on the board here, Dreaming of Drew, that might be the early speed. Concerns about that outside post, you think, are drawing bettors away and looking at other places?
Can we talk about Dreaming of Drew's pedigree for a second? Oh, sorry, go right ahead.
Oh my God, you want to talk about her pedigree? She's run like 17 times already. All right, sorry.
No, go ahead. Tell me and Ren we're done focusing on pedigrees. Go ahead. It's fine.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, as far as
it's okay.
The outside post, and then also in combination with Plum Ally, because from the outside post, Dreaming of Drew's got to go, and she's got to sit, and that's where she does her best running. Now, as far as Plum Alley, she's been running close to the pace in her most recent races. They got away with the bias 3 back, and I think that kind of encouraged them to kind of keep running around the front end. And if you go back further, she kind of takes from off the pace. And so with this being that 1-turn mile, cutting back in distance, a bit of a change, and a rider change, they might go back to that tactic, and that could assist Dreaming of Drew for people that like her and are getting that fair price on 10-1 right now. But I did notice that about Plum Alley, and the fact that she is getting a lot of attention right now in a wide open race. She doesn't really excite me at 2-1. I thought she was kind of one of the contenders in this field that is a deep field. But you mentioned the pace and the outside post, but Jessica, I'll send it back to you. You can discuss the pedigree. Sorry.
This is just nerding out a little bit, to be honest with you. So Dreaming of Drew, the damn Dreaming of Liz, the daughter of a horse named Silver Maiden, who, you find horses a certain way. And as a historian of the sport, or somebody who just loves the history and the generations of pedigrees, Ren, you get this, right?
Oh yeah, Lady Spicebeer. She's direct tail to La Troyenne. Yeah.
There's history in this, and decades long, generations of breeding. So this horse's second dam, Silver Maiden, was actually one of the horses that made me a fan of the sport when I was an early teenager in high school. She won the Frisette in 1997 or 9 or so, and I still have her halter plate on my keychain.
Oh, I love that. Can I tell you, so I know Mr. Matt Carothers, for good reason. I think the horse has a live shot, is our flash drive. I think. And this horse might end up running up the track, but I think Lady War Machine is kind of interesting, only because she's only been on the turf twice, and one of those was a win in the Alley Wow Stakes. And I mean, for her to come back, 6.5 furlongs there in the Royal North, you could watch that race. She looked like a horse that needed one. Josie Carroll has a loaded barn. She chooses to run this horse. That Street Boss. You think sprint basically, but there's enough there that I think she can get a 1-turn mile. So I do think she's kind of interesting as just an outlier there if you're looking to spice up your exotics.
Can I add one thing about Lady War Machine? Sorry, I'm going to go fast because I see Dawn's on there. She was wearing a bar shoe in the Royal North, and there is not a bar shoe listed today. So I think that's a big move forward, a big equipment change. Nobody's really mentioned that or picked up on it.
She might have had a bruised frog, yeah.
What's that?
A bar shoe. She may have had a bruised frog, or at least been sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Either way, it's the equipment change today that it hasn't been listed that it's on. No, so I would assume it isn't.
She is wearing one, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
She is.
Oh,
yeah,
didn't. Okay.
Thanks, Dawn.
I know. It'll get announced. Hi guys.
Hi,
how are you? How's everything? So as you can see,
back.
thank you. Yeah, it's like I never left. As you can see, it's typically windy and the Woodbine today, as per usual. There's a couple horses. I have to say, Graham Motion's horse looks splendid. I mean, they all do. Obviously, these are stakes quality fillies and mares, so it's not like, you know, one jumps out in the paddock, but they all look amazing. Plum Alley, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sold 100% on her. I actually do think that Graham Motion's filly is going to be tough in here. That's Crystal Cliffs. Love the way she looked. The 10 horse was bucking on her way out. Saratoga Vision. The plane. So those were a couple that I was looking at. Obviously, Plum Alley is going to attract a lot of play. Crystal Cliffs for me wins the paddock. We'll take that to the track and see how that goes. And Mark Cassie loaded for bear as per usual with, you know, our first drive out of the Cassie contingent, I thought really stepped forward last time. I think that this is a filly that's really developing into something nice. She's going to have to continue to step up her game if she wants to win here again today. And just a note, I'm not sure if y'all are aware of this, but I mean, we probably are. Roger Apfield, who of course has Lady Spitespear, who's in with a big shot, is one away from his 2000th career victory. So it's a huge milestone. He's been sitting on that for a while. You know, as soon as we give attention to something like that, they seem to go dry in terms of wins.
That's
but
true.
Yeah, just for some stats for Roger, you know, he's made purse earnings in his career, which he's a Hall of Famer in both Canada and the States, $108.7 million in career purse earnings for Roger. 132 graded stakes wins and $29 million just in graded stakes. So he's looking for that elusive last win to get himself to career win number 2,000, which is amazing.
Dawn, thanks for the insight, and we will check in with you before the Marine, and we'll try to get to you a little earlier so we can actually see some of the horses in the outdoor paddock there at Woodbine.
I love Dawn, by the way.
That's cool.
She's a badass. Like, she does her own figures. Absolute badass. I'm so happy to see you.
Trisha, I'm so happy to see you. Y'all look amazing. I'm out here getting wind blown, but it's a beautiful
It's a good look for you. The whole thing works.
I'm a tremendous machine.
All right, we'll see you back in a bit.
All right, thanks, Dawn. And Dawn had a chance to catch up with Kazushi Kimura before the Nassau to talk about the speed contender from the outside, but unusually quiet so far, Chase Sessoms. So I want to give Chase an opportunity here to tell us what he likes and maybe some gambling angles for this Nassau, the race 8 at Woodbine.
Yeah, I'm just trying something new. It's apparently called a filter. Haven't had one the majority of my life. The one thing that stuck out to me as I've watched the track feed through Woodbine today is just how well speed seems to be carrying over both surfaces. Over both surfaces. So when I think of it that way, Dreaming of Drew actually, I feel like has a pretty good shot to be out there in front. With the way it's been playing, I feel like I don't really need to look much further than the lead horses and the first run horses, and that's really going to limit my field to Lady Spitespear, Plum Alley, Dreaming of Drew. Now that Lady Spitespear and Plum Alley have essentially flip-flopped morning line odds, it makes me a little bit more interested in Lady Spitespear. But with the way that speed has carried, I think the Dreaming of Drew is a great win bet at that price at 10-1.
And obviously, based on the last effort, we all expect Dreaming of Drew to go out front. But Kazushi Kimura has maybe some other ideas. Dawn Lupul had a chance to catch up with him earlier.
Getting ready for stakes action from Woodbine, and joining me is jockey Kazushi Kimura. And Kazushi, how are you?
Yeah, good. So far, so good.
Okay, so far, so good. So you've been a very busy man lately. You've been riding in Presque Isle on your off days from here. You rode this winter in the States, of course. You did some riding for Wesley Ward. How was all that?
Well, it's an amazing experience for me, and I'm still 22, so it's more coming to.
But here comes, make no mistakes, Kazushi Kimura up on the outside as the 6-5 favorite's going to get the job done.
In terms of getting the experience and getting to know different trainers in the States, that has to be good for your career long term.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still 22. I want to join to the States too, and I'm always targeting for the future and just dreaming big. So yeah, if I ever to ride one day for the Breeders' Cup or just Kentucky Derby, I want to do that. So.
Nice. Well, I can see that. How old are you now? You're 20?
Yeah, 22.
22.
This
He's
year
22.
I will be 22.
Yeah. And how long have you been riding for? Like, it seems like forever.
Well, I'm started from 18 years old, and then now I've been riding 4 years, 5 years for the racing. Yeah.
Okay. and doing very good because you've been leading rider here and having another great season. So you've got a couple of stake races today. First, we'll talk about the Nassau. You're riding Dreaming of Drew from post number 11 with Barb Minshall training. You won with her last time out, went right to the front. So with post 11 on this turf course at a mile, do you think you might have to do the same thing?
Like, unfortunately, that's to me feeling like too wide, but she had a natural speed, and I don't have to send it. If somebody want to go in from the inside, I able to sit behind and try to be comfortable for her. Yeah, that's my racing planning.
Okay. I mean, how much changes though when the gate opens? Sometimes the best plans just go to the side.
I mean, like, it's, we never know, we never know until open the gate.
Yeah.
If she's feeling like too sharp, I don't want too much fighting with her. But if she gonna be comfortable, like actually in the morning time she was very comfortable, so I might be able to sit behind.
So obviously some good insight there from Dawn Lupul and Kazushi Kimura that he does not feel like Dreaming of Drew has to be in front on this. Does anybody disagree with that?
I kind of feel like the horse needs to be out towards the front, honestly. But I mean, if he does end up taking back, then that's going to put Lady Spitespear in a great position because it means that Lady Spitespear being closer to the rail is, most likely going to show a little bit of speed and might end up being controlling speed if Dreaming of Drew takes back. I think this actually having that insight puts together a pretty good opportunity to kind of structure out a trifecta where I can put Lady Spitespear and Dreaming of Drew both on top, wheel in Plum Ali, and then put in other horses like Crystal Cliffs, Lady War Machine, and La Liberté underneath, closing into third.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it'll just come down to what the tactics of the three are. If they decide to use a similar tactic in those last three races and go to the front, then that could put Dreaming of Drew into that kind of tracking trip just because she's sitting outside of her. However, if they do take back, Dreaming of Drew would have the fastest speed to the first call just naturally. I'm looking at Optics Plot, and that's even in front of Lady Spitespear, who going back to her Woodbine races, she was sitting on some pretty softer paces when she was out in front. Dreaming of Drew was just kind of quicker early. So yeah, again, I think it'll be once, as Kimura said, you don't know until those gates open, and the tactics on the three, I think, are probably the most interesting key to this race.
There's one horse that's been bet in half here that is 3 for 3, including 2 graded stakes wins at Woodbine that we have not touched on, and that would be the 8 R Flash Drive, 8-1 morning line.
I did bring her up. I did bring her up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's very live, very logical in this spot. She's extremely live.
Yeah, I mean, this is a horse. She was beaten by Rogier or Wargier or however it's pronounced. I mean, that's a really nice horse for Chad Brown. Went on to run a close fifth. I mean, she was beaten 2 lengths in the Grade 1 New York, and that was to Bleecker Street. So yeah, I mean, she definitely is live.
She's the second choice in the doubles by only $2. She's right with the 3 and the 4.
All right, Crystal Cliffs 5-2, Plum Ali and Lady Spitespear 7-2, and then we've got our Flash Drive at 4-1, and Dreaming of Drew 7-1. Any horses outside of those that we feel can hit a try or super?
I think there's a pretty big kind of gap between that group and the rest of the field. It'd be kind of a stretch, I think, for anyone else to make a major impact.
Yeah, I already said my long shot play is to add to your exotics is Lady War Machine, but
I think Broadway Lady could maybe kind of sneak in, has a little bit of a little bit of a closing kick. Might could maybe get into third.
I mean, she's only been beaten 2 lengths by Lady Spitespear in the past. I mean,
this is a very good group of fillies, though. I mean,
yeah, it's a cool race.
This race came up really tough.
I felt so confident before we talked to Kimura, and now I'm trying to figure out, is this all a ruse? How are we going to handle this? And yeah.
But at a certain point, the horse wants to go. You're going to kind of have to let them or
yeah.
I think she's the quickest early. I don't think there's going to be any taking back. I think they're going to be forwardly placed. If that was your analysis going in, the way that you saw the race, I wouldn't let the jockey interview take you off of that.
No, I wouldn't either. And if anything, trying to take this horse kind of off of her natural game and her natural speed, it puts you at a disadvantage anyway. It's not, I don't think he's going to aggressively send, but she's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, she's just naturally quicker early, even in those sprint races. I mean, she has sprint speed. She's been able to take pressure, duel, and show grit, holding off horses. I mean, that's her game. There's that late action coming in. She just went down to 6, back to 7.
I can't believe I'm 22, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that took me back too. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I was like, what? I mean, it feels like he's been there forever.
Entering today's jockey standings with a 20-win lead over his next competitor, and 22 years old. Future is bright.
What were you guys doing at 22? Because I was not doing anything that useful.
Actually, I was writing the book.
He said keep it clean on the string.
Okay, well, way to make us feel like slackers.
So we're not talking about 22.
But I will say, I mean, I try never to play connections or be overly swayed, but Kimura is a name that when you're going through your PPs, you can't help but look a little closer at a horse that he's riding.
And there, Lady Spitespear loading in with the barrier blanket, as we mentioned earlier. That is equipment that we do not see in North America all that often, but quite common in the rest of the world. We've got 3 back to load still here, and you've heard our opinions. This is a very stacked field, and we will throw it up to Robert Geller to take us through the rest of the way with the load and the call here in the Grade 2 Nassau.
Lady Spitespear touching to favourite the jump. They're all in, locked up. Off they run in the Nassau. Perfect start. Dreaming of Drew narrowly in front as they go. A very nice beginning, La Liberté, our flash drive, coming through. Lady Spitespear for the lead on the inside and takes up the run from Dreaming of Drew, and Plum Ali is third. On the inside, Peace Seeker fourth with our flash drive, and between them is Crystal Cliffs. And they got a length and a half clear of La Liberté, followed by, on the inside, Lady War Machine getting back. So too Broadway Lady, Saratoga Vision second last, and Perseverance is the trailer. In front, Lady Spitespear by a length. Dreaming of Drew second. Plum Ali on the inside with the Plum second. Plum Ali on the inside with the Plum seat. And on the outer, our flash drive, followed by Crystal Cliffs in fifth. And on the inside, Peace Seeker. Right behind is La Liberté as they go into the turn. A length of Lady War Machine, Broadway Lady, Saratoga Vision, and last, Perseverancia. Lady Spitespear in front. Leads by a half a length. Dreaming of Drew. A length, our flash drive coming forward well. Plum Ali on the inside. 1.5 to Crystal Cliffs on the rail. And La Liberté making headway as well. Then Broadway Lady taking off. Peace Seeker's got back from Lady War Machine, Perseverancia, and Saratoga Vision. 3 across the track. Lady Spitespear, Dreaming of Drew, and our flash drive. They come clear. 2 lengths to Crystal Cliffs running on well. Plum Ali in the center. Out in front, our flash drive takes over and got away. Now Crystal Cliffs running on. Lady Spitespear hard at it. Crystal Cliffs after our flash drive. Our flash drive. Lady Spitespear fighting back. And Crystal Cliffs. It's not over yet for Lady Spitespear. And is fighting up on the inside. Our flash drive. Crystal Cliffs. Lady Spitespear's in front. Crystal Cliffs on the outside. It's Lady Spitespear on the rail. It's a photo. Lady Spitespear and Crystal Cliffs in a head bob in the Nassau Stakes. In third placing is our flash drive. And the time 1:32.40. A photo for the win.
Well,
gosh, please let her get that photo. She ran way too good to lose.
Yeah, like she ran. I mean, what a nice performance.
Oh my gosh, she ran her eyeballs out. Come on,
I think she got it.
I think it's inside.
Yeah,
it
always looks more inside than outside. But
it's a very tight photo finish in what was a very good race. And Kazushi, he gave us some insight there. He could have had the lead at any point there, and he decided to sit behind Lady Spitespear and ended up fading back at the end there. But what a finish between Crystal Cliffs. And honestly, entering the turn, I thought Crystal Cliffs was done personally, and that's where my win bet was in this race. And
I thought Matt was going to be right yet again with our flash drive because she was coming, and then I don't know. It looks like the bob. I don't know.
I can't tell.
I would still call. I'm still confident calling 2-4-8-3.
I hope you're right because that was such a gutty performance. It would be a shame for her to lose it right there at the wire.
I would agree with that statement. Gutsy as you know what for Lady Spitespear there. We're still waiting this photo, and it is a tight one. And, pretty formful. We had the 4 top betting choices finishing in the top 4 positions here. Another look from a different angle that
it
generally
doesn't look close to me on that angle. It looks like it's you all the way, but
and that angle is generally a little better. Now we're going to get our first look at the head on here and see if there was any trouble. I didn't see any for anybody. I didn't see any bumping. I didn't see anybody really close to one another, but we'll get a chance here.
Prepare yourself for the show us the photo, you cowards tweets coming out after this one, no matter what decision they make. Great race. I mean, the pace kind of shook out how I thought it would shake out after hearing Kazushi kind of give his tactics. Plum Ali essentially kind of inherits the lead. I don't think they went to they went 23-6. They didn't go necessarily fast.
Plum Spite Spear.
I'm sorry, I meant to say Spite Spear. I apologize. Lady Spite Spear gets out, inherits the lead, and really impressive how she dug back in. It could be that not only speed is carrying a little bit, but the inside of the track is carrying horses a little bit further.
Maybe, I mean, that might be a possibility, but also part of what has me so impressed by her is when a horse gets challenged like that, mentally, sometimes they'll just pack it in. I thought she was pretty much done. And then the way she just not only fought back, but then started making ground, that was, again, I mean, I would like to be right in having backed a favorite because I usually don't like backing favorites at all. So you want to be justified, like, okay, it made sense to do it this time. So it's a matter of, yes, I'd like to be right. But at the same time, again, that performance, even if I had not liked her, it was just too good, again, to lose. Because when you see a horse put it all out there like that, by the way, my long shot for your exotics was horrible, so I apologize for that one. But come on.
I think it was the bar shoe, having that bar shoe information, and they posted it way late. But I think if you have that information, I mean, because I thought she had a long shot look as well. And as soon as Dawn said, no, it's back on, I'm like, forget it. No shot. Yeah. She's got no shot.
All right. The longer this goes, Emily, I'm thinking we're either Lady Spite Spear or we got a heater.
I think it could be a heater.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually Woodbine is pretty quick posting too. So it could be.
The anticipation, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of echo what Ren was saying. I mean, that's grit. I mean, when a horse digs in like that, because as we mentioned, the 8 horse whose name I'm forgetting right now, ran right alongside of her, and Lady Spite Spear just
our flash drive,
showed her the eye and put her away. I mean, she just stopped in her tracks, and that's the difference of grit. I mean, it's such a class thing, and it was a very, very good effort for her. Something she hasn't really shown in quite a while. So hopefully, we'll see. But it is taking a while. It could be a lot tighter than it appears on that pan.
Oh gosh, I know. My heart right now is just, come on, Lady Spite Spear.
And even though I went away from Lady Spite Spear for the first time in recorded history,
why did you
I am rooting that she got up.
Oh yeah, no, I was betting against her, but very much rooting for her here. It's easy to root for this filly, especially after a race like that.
And as Dawn mentioned, more on the line here, this would be win 2000 for Roger Atfield and his illustrious dual Hall of Fame training career.
I mean, I can understand why you guys were kind of. I mean, she's jumping she's jumped tracks during a race. She's had the bad starts, but what we've seen time and time again, though, is she runs. She does run. I just hope.
I do appreciate that she really leans into that chestnut filly stereotype a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Just leans into it.
I will chime in here and say that I can assure you guys that the stream is not frozen as the tractor is coming into view. This is a live feed. We still do not have. I didn't get the Gallop Master schedule. That's just a tractor. Didn't get the Gallop Master schedule for today at Woodbine. So apologies on that. But horses are going back to the barn, and it is a dead heat. Crystal Cliffs and Lady Spite Spear, dead heat.
Good
and
for
are
them.
both grade 2 winners today.
Okay.
Everybody gets a prize.
That's.
Well, don't forget, Lady Spite Spear is already a grade 1 winner.
Nobody's forgetting.
That's right. The Tama, baby.
I'm going to be really interested to see, and we'll hear about this in the aftermath, that I think Roger Attfield will find it somewhat funny knowing his training career that his 2000th career win will come as a dead heat.
Yeah.
Super memorable. And props to Emma Jane, by the way. She was riding all out she was willing her to the wire too. I mean, it's so cool when you see a jockey fit a horse and they just get each other.
And she's taken the world tour with this horse and ran at tracks that she's normally not in the jocks room at, and gotten a lot more experience outside of Woodbine because of this horse. So I think Emma Jane's also thankful for their relationship as well. Got one more win photo, and then we'll move on and talk about what is our main event of today, the Marine Stakes. As they get Crystal Cliffs ready, we'll say hello and thanks to Tom Espinoza watching from California. Got some people that love Woodbine. Everybody on here, we all love Woodbine. Didn't get to this before the race. Paul D'Amico, the turf is firm. It has not rained in a while at Woodbine, so it is a drier surface, but it is still listed at firm. They do a great job, obviously, of maintaining the turf, both turf courses at Woodbine, but we're all on the EP Taylor, the outer turf course for today's races, as Crystal Cliffs will reach the winner's circle for Grand Motion, second win of the year, and this is the first grade 2 win, first grade stakes win. Had 2 seconds in the Regret and the Gallarette, so Crystal Cliffs winner of the winner's circle here. Dead heat, if you're just joining us, between Crystal Cliffs and Lady Spitespear in the grade 2 Nassau, and what was a finish, and that's just a bob of a lifetime for Crystal Cliffs. Crystal Cliffs was not ahead before the wire, was not ahead after the wire. Just one of those things that happens in racing, and we'll get the second winner's photo here, and we can move on. Ren, you look like you're primed to say something.
I was just thinking to myself, I'm looking forward to seeing that photo, 1, and 2. I'm like, I hope Emma Jane is riding a wave of confidence now going into the Marine, because I like Manic.
Yep. So I want to show the mutual payoffs here, but obviously a little bit of a delay on the tote crunching the numbers for what that means. Obviously, if you're new to horse racing here with the dead heat, we will split the win pool amongst 2 horses instead of 1 after the takeout is taken. So we'll wait, and I'll come back once we have the win dividend here and all of the exotics. That was the kickoff late of the late pick 4 as well. But we can go ahead and move on to discussion about what is our main event of today for the Path to the Plate series, which is the Grade 3 Marine. Now, the interesting thing here is, as you will see, not all the horses are eligible for the plate that are in this race. So obviously this is a prep race, but we've got a few horses, including a couple that will take significant money, that are not eligible for the Queen's Plate, which is the first leg in the Canadian Triple Crown. Looking over this field of 8, anybody want to give us some initial thoughts on what they're thinking race shape wise?
Well, Ren, I like Mannix too, so.
You know what? It's so funny because I got my notes together. I went online and then I saw Sherry Go Philly was like on Mannix. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, we're all smart, right?
Yeah, great minds think alike. That's what I'll go with here.
All right.
So I'll counter it. I think, as far as Mannix, I mean, showed a lot of ability early on, but last out, I thought that was just such a setup race where it was traffic, the race was slowing late, and just kind of got up the right place in time. Between horses, pacers just kind of fell into the lead as the race was slowing late. Did you guys see that race differently? Just think on the improve.
I just think he was a horse. He was poised to win a race. And I felt he had excuses with the 2 races prior, the Cutler Bay and that optional 75, that he was a horse, irrespective of what was going to happen next, was poised for a win, because I think he had legitimate issues with how those races shaped up. Because with when he ran second to Chanceau on the turf, I mean, that horse wired the field that day, went on to pick up the Shodo in the Woodhaven Stakes in the Paradise Creek for Todd Pletcher. And as it says there, I mean, he was tight going into the turn, and he's a horse up, obviously. And, I felt that he was a horse that could certainly improve in the next start. But then in the next start in the Cutler Bay, it was just problematic. He had the rail that day, came out of the gate all wonky. And I think that also it is notable in terms of, how the opponents shaped up. Keep Grinding, as you see italicized there, he just won an optional 50 on the turf. That was over, actually, I'm going to say nice horse, but I'm going to say it loosely, in Basketball Jones. That horse was only making the second start of his career. That horse had won his debut. Super impressive, basically duking it out with a horse named Alan Diggs all the way around the track. They put in a half of like 44-2. And that horse tried to wire again. So I think it was legitimate in terms of what Keep Grinding did out of there. But I do understand your point as well. I really like this horse. I love Australia. I just think the fact that he's already proven at a distance is also something to keep in mind.
I think it's just also been a case of finding what this horse is best suited for. Like, he obviously has a little bit of quality to him, and just kind of figuring out what surface, what distance, the things that are really going to work. I do agree, Emily, that I think he's got everything kind of set up for him pretty well. But that said, he kind of took advantage of those things. He still was able to put it together and look really good doing so.
I mean, well, if we talk about race shape and talking about momentum with Emma Jane Wilson, why not Atfield right back with Unraptured, stretching back out in distance, coming out of that sprint where he broke slow, saved ground. The winner went wire to wire. It was a pace-setting winner, so you can pretty much draw a line through there. Could be another horse that's on the improve, just kind of looking at his form cycle in races, hitting that peak effort at Golden Gate back in March and making a second start of the meet. He's been prepping towards this. So I don't know, it's kind of an interesting horse in here. Still, okay, they've just put the board up. It looks like the 1 is going to be the favorite right now. I don't know how you guys feel about that speed figure, but I think that's why this horse is getting a lot of attention coming out of the Queenston, because I know Optics rated it high. I think a lot of other figure makers have that high as well. And I just noted, going back to the Woodstock, when he made his first start of the form cycle, just physically didn't really look like a horse that had matured from that 2-year-old season, following here at Woodbine, and did finish in a blanket at the wire. But I'm not sure if I want, those horses out of that race. I don't know how you guys saw that race as a whole.
I'm not entirely convinced he wants to go this far either.
Well, the thing is interesting to me is the pedigree says he does. The pedigree says he does, but yet they've never tried it. And I look at him, and it's hard. I'd rather, I'd like to ask Dawn, because she's right there in paddock and can look at him. When I look on the screen, he looks kind of small considering he's by Mr. Speaker and out of an unbridled.
Yeah, I would expect him to be a little longer and a little rangier looking.
I mean, he did run at this distance in the gray last year, finishing second. He had a pocket trip. Yeah. But I agree. I think he looks he physically looks on that smaller side.
He had that pocket trip in the gray and had absolutely every chance to win that race. Whenever he swung out wide and just came up empty, he just kind of stayed there. So it makes me wonder. I mean, I have to think that this race really just goes by what you think of Ironstone and if Ironstone can actually handle this distance. Because if he can, I mean, based on most pace projections, it looks like Ironstone is going to be controlling speed of speed. I think the wild card might actually be one of Mark Cassie's horse, Allegorical, who just broke his maiden going into this race. I think there's a chance that this horse could maybe try to press Ironstone, and Ironstone doesn't quite have as easy of a lead as he would like. And if that's the case, if Allegorical thinks does what I think he might do, then I think it will open it up to some other horses come from a little bit further off the pace, like a Duke of Love or a Mannix, which Mannix would make a whole lot of sense if Allegorical pushes from the gate.
One quick other note that I will make regarding Ironstone is that Adamar Santos actually, he did end up winning our jockey challenge there at Tampa Bay Downs, but for the 2-day, the summer festival. But he actually had to take off his last mount to get to a plane so he could ride this horse for this race. So he obviously has a lot of faith in him. He's a super game jockey.
He sure is.
Yeah. And the one thing that I always do find interesting, though, is I feel like Ironstone, people kind of, he's gone off as the favorite a couple times, back in the 2-year-old season. But I don't know, he's just one of those horses. I almost wonder if it's just coincidence that he tends to run just a bit better against state or Canadian-bred competition as opposed to open. But that just might be coincidental in terms of how those races shaped up. Rondor's a horse that a lot of people doubted. He had excuses for those 2-year-old races, I will say. He is a horse that does come running and looks like a horse who's sort of figured things out since getting, and maybe has also been one that's benefited from the addition of Lasix, because you will see, obviously, there was a big difference there once they put him on that. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those races, I wouldn't talk anybody off any horse, personally.
And we're seeing, obviously, all over the place on the betting board right now. We've got Ironstone as the 8-5 favorite coming off of the 6-1 morning line. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have Fuerteventura, 3-1 on the morning line, currently 14-1. This horse has some tactical speed and was able to close in well, winning the Jersey Derby at Monmouth. And we've got a backtrack look of that stretch drive. So we'll go ahead and roll it here while we have some time.
Are no words at the top of the lane. Quality G is pouncing up on the outside and puts the head in front. Fuerteventura is rolling down the center of the course, and Celestial City is within 2 of the lead. Celestial City, Fuerteventura, they're chasing Quality G. Here comes Fuerteventura in between horses. Celestial City on the grandstand side. Fuerteventura, Celestial City, Fuerteventura wins the Jersey Derby.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he looked like it took a lot for him to get up over a horse who was on his wrong lead. Like, that horse at the front was on his wrong lead, and it still took this horse, Fuerteventura, a lot to get up over him. I don't know. I mean, short field, I will say Quality G did go on to run a close second in the Tail of the Cat. Race prior to that, the kid had come off the turf and was run on the synthetic at Gulfstream. It wasn't the strongest of field. I mean, could the horse win? Absolutely. But what is he right now? Whoa, he's actually, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. That is right.
Well, I mean, I guess then people see that. I personally pass on him. I mean, but it's Jonathan Thomas, and obviously he's a super adept trainer, and he picks his spots very well and always brings live horses up to Woodbine. So I personally pass.
And we'll get some more insight on that horse as Dawn Lupul had a chance to talk to Kazushi Kimura heading into the Marine.
Back with Kazushi Kimura, who is busy. You're always busy. I was just commenting to Kazushi about how good your English has become from when I first met you a few years ago. You've really, really gotten, I mean, you speak better than I do, let's face it.
Well, yeah, when I decided want to go to the North America, we was 17, and I'm trying to speaking, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time to go to the school. That's why I'm always stuck with my agent, who is a native Canadian, so talking with him and I'm struggling.
You know, you're amazing. You're doing so well. They probably taught you all the swear words first anyways, right?
Thank you.
Don't say any of those here. Okay, let's talk about the Marine stake. You've got Fuerteventura. Now, you haven't ridden this particular horse, but you have ridden for Jonathan Thomas before and done well with him.
So when I'm watching the replay, the horse able to go to the lead or just sit up behind, you know, so many options for me, which is more comfortable, you know. It depends on circumstance. If somebody want to go, like show up the speed, and just if I able to, if feeling like too slow, I able to stay close with the company, so yeah.
Okay, cool. It's a great draw. You got post position number 5. It really gives you a lot of options, and he does look like a very versatile horse. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No cool.
Fuerteventura. Do you speak Spanish too?
Little poquito.
Oh, okay. Well, so the Mr. Multi-talented Kazushi Kimura.
I love that she complimented him and said, you know, you probably speak English better than me at this point. And he was like, yep. Probably.
They taught him all the swear words first.
Yeah, right.
As horses have reached the outdoor paddock, Dawn, obviously with that last dead heat, a lot of drama on track, to say the least.
Absolutely. Like, it was so close. So I was out front, and, you know, with all the valets and with all the racing officials, and of course the connections of various horses. And it really did not look like Lady Spitespear hung on the inside. And then we kept watching the photo, and it was taking so long. You're kind of starting to say dead heat. And then people were, of course, saying Roger only gets half a win, which, you know, that's just mean. So it was, I'm sure everybody was happy. I'm sure Roger would have liked to have I know that our track announcer, Robert Geller, would have liked to have Roger just win so he could, really talk up the 2000th win. But what a great finish. That was fun.
As the horses have reached the outdoor paddock at Woodbine, early look at some of the horses. Dawn, anybody standing out to you as they had? I know not all the horses are out there as of yet.
Rafael Hernandez, he is so much fun. Yes, no, they're all. You know what? They had to wait a little bit. There's still a couple that were inside saddling because, of course, Rafael Hernandez and Emma Wilson were late coming back because presentations and trophies and interviews and kissing baby, signing autographs. So those ones were a little bit delayed, but it won't be long now. What a great afternoon. So I'm just going to focus over here so you can kind of see over my shoulder and you get a chance to see the 4-horse in here. That is Rondour. I love the way Rondour likes. There were a couple horses I thought stood out to me from the paddock. The 6-horse Duke of Love is really, really a handsome horse. He's just gorgeous. I was chatting with jockey Justin Stein just before they were coming out here, and he was telling me the horse has a lot of talent, but he's not the most intelligent one. He's just really still figuring things out. So whatever he's done so far has been purely talent and not brains. We'll put it that way. So I think that there's a big upside on Duke of Love. I liked his appearance. The one Ironstone, you have to include this horse. He's from, a profile of a trainer who doesn't get the attention in the stakes races, although the Armada name has been well known in these parts for many, many, many years. They have a nice horse on their hands in Ironstone. He hasn't done really anything wrong so far. Luz is his jock. Kazushi Kimura was originally named to ride, but he opted to ride for Jonathan Thomas, and you can't blame him because Jonathan has been sending a lot of live horses here. So Ironstone, and I believe Patrick Husbands was going to step aboard him, but then he rides for Cassie, so he's on the Cassie horse. So Adamar Santos, who hasn't been located here this year, obviously he's been riding in the States, Monmouth recently. He's back and he fits his horse really well. So Ironstone for me, but from the paddock, it was Duke of Love. That was the one that I really liked.
And lots of my racehorse owners probably happy to hear that Duke of Love gets the seal of approval in the paddock from Dawn.
Yes. The odds are always low on those horses, right, though, because there's 6 billion people betting them. So you always get a little bit less value than maybe you should be taking. But that's okay, because if you don't like the horse, then you're getting better value on the rest of them. So there's always an upside to the story.
So I'm so intrigued by what you said about Duke of Love's intelligence or lack thereof, because I've been so curious about Cupid as a stallion, whether he passed along that big, beautiful tappet brain that he has. Because I remember him at, I think it was the Haskell that year. I don't think I saw that horse not on his hind legs just on his hind legs every moment I saw him.
Yeah, they have their moments, don't they? And a lot of the ones that we're looking at are kind of the same. So it's not he doesn't do anything wrong. It's just Justin was saying he kind of carries his head a little bit high when he's running. It's like he's looking around. He's like a distracted child who has tons of talent and just needs to apply himself and focus a little bit better. But that's kind of good news for the connections because that means there's probably a big upside there.
All right, Dawn, thanks a lot for your insight today, and thanks a lot for your interview. I have a quick question for Dawn Ghost.
Sure.
Looking forward to the future. Are you going to come up with Breeders' Cup? Are you going to come out to Kentucky?
I could. I mean,
I think you should.
I think I should too. Yeah, so I'm coming.
All right, see how it works out. Together.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. No, I'd love to. It'd be a lot of fun for sure.
All right, everybody give Dawn Lupul a follow on Twitter, and we'll be happy to hear from her the rest of the Path to the Plate series and more at Woodbine this year. Thanks, Dawn, for joining us.
Thank you all, and let's have another exciting race.
Don't know if we can outdo that one, but thanks, Dawn.
What if they dead heat again, like with Hernandez and Emma Jane Wilson? What would be the statistical odds of that?
I mean,
I don't know. We know not to ask Rondour. We know that's for sure. In his defense, they didn't bring him here to do trigonometry. They brought him to run.
That's right.
You don't have to be the sharpest knife in the drawer to succeed in life.
That's right. Living proof.
Yeah, same. You can get around all right.
Guys, give yourselves more credit. Although I do want to know, where's the dog, Chase?
Oh, Rosie, she was just spayed earlier this week. So my wife took the kids to the in-laws for a 4th of July thing. I decided to hang out here to be with everyone today, talking Woodbine, which my happy place. But she's lethargic, just tired, which makes her
That's good. Let her rest and sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So she went with them because there are more eyes on her to keep her kind of calm and keep her from getting in any trouble.
Aw, we'll give her lots of loving.
Oh, done and done.
All right, officially 7 minutes to post, but we might have another minute or two here as horses have hit the track here for the Marine. And we want to update the odds here after, opening as short as 3-2, Ironstone starting to drift back up 5-2. Rondour from the 5-2 morning line now down to 5-1. Duke of Love 7-2 on the morning line, 3-1 currently. Lac Makaza 8-1 on the morning line, currently 5-1. And Mannix, who is very popular in this room, off the 8-1 morning line, 5-1. Mannix also my top pick in this race. Not that matters.
It does.
That's a lot of weight for this poor horse.
Yeah, right. That's as they say. See, I thought I was being clever. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a total chalk-eating weasel in the Nassau but I'm going to make up for it with my pick in the Marine. But yeah, he's 5-1, which it's nice. It's nice. It's not the 8.
What do you think he should be? What are your fair
odds? I
I
actually do think the 5-1 is definitely fair. And I figured he would get some action based. Even if somebody's just looking through and see, Mark Casse teamed up with Emma Jane, because unfortunately a lot of times people do just rely on playing the connections, and obviously he has enough figures there that catch attention as well. But if you really look at it too, I think the horse's form backs up why people would be interested. I'm just saying on the superficial side, people would like him too.
But, if people were just looking at connections here, you're not going to find a hotter combo than Justin Thomas and Kanushi Kimura, and that's 8-1 now on the board. We mentioned, I think, both of the inside long shots here, Allegorical and Unraptured. Allegorical's maiden winning score over this distance on this track was very impressive. Big step up, though, in this spot. So are we thinking this horse has a puncher's chance for Mark Casse with Patrick Husbands, or is this just strictly an underneath use candidate for you guys?
I could be intrigued.
Chase liked him. Chase gave him a big push, right?
Well, I like him if he goes out and actually tries to press Ironstone with the way that early speed first run horses have been able to kind of win races. If he goes out and presses Ironstone and Ironstone, falls apart, then Allegorical could be the horse, right there first run to pick up the pieces. I think Duke of Love is the other horse that's going to be kind of sitting right in that wave that could do really well. What I'm amazed by is just how much value is in these exacta probables right now. I don't see an exacta on the board that doesn't pay well.
Yeah, we're looking at the lowest. Let's see, 1/6 is $17 for a buck, and that is your bottom line right now with $34,000 in the exacta pool. Obviously, that will grow before race time, but good shout there, Chase, on that, because there's for an 8-horse field, there is a lot of unknowns here, it appears, to the betting public. All right, so if Mannix doesn't win this race, let's go this way, since most people seem to be on Mannix. If I were giving you guys $25 win bets, and I'm not doing that, I just want to, for the record, say that.
I'll Venmo you. It's fine.
And you can't use Mannix. Who are you using? I'm not saying you would have used Mannix necessarily, but the other 7 horses, who's everybody's top choice here?
Well, it's hard to. The horse already looks pretty accomplished, and it's hard to go against Dawn Lupul when she's in the paddock and she's seeing the horse look like one that you want to endorse. So, Ironstone, 3-1 is a bit short though for me on him because I do have questions, and I know he's run well from the rail, but obviously it does put a little more pressure on what you're going to do. if you can potentially get covered up, because I mean he does have speed, but I don't know. It's tough, but
I'm just gonna say if I'm betting JD's money, then I'm probably go ahead drop the 25 on Allegorical. If I'm betting my own money, I'm betting Duke of Love.
So yeah,
I'll bet both. I'll bet my own money, JD's money, whoever else is on the three on this board. I mean, it just from a gambling standpoint, just kind of looking at the board. I mean, I know you guys like the 8, and I think if you think that's fair value, that's probably a good bet right there. As far as Ironstone, far too short. I wouldn't bet money. He can certainly win. Both those horses can certainly win. And the same thing with the 4. I mean the 6 who's sitting at 4 to 1. It's just far too short. I mean, so you're looking at it from like a gambling standpoint, like where is your best bet? It seems like you guys have the value on the 8. That seems, we're getting fair odds. You think the horse probably has, less or greater than 20%. So anything over 4 to 1, you would be, excited. So, and I mean, I kind of made the long shot case for the 3. I know he has class questions, has to get a little bit faster, but there's price compensation. And I think there's class questions and distance questions and having to get faster questions on many of these other horses. So why not get fair. 6 times the price?
No, that's definitely fair. But yeah, to your point, I think Rondor obviously makes a lot of sense. And I gotta stop saying obviously. I'm going on a little bit of sleep. I go to Crutch Words to bridge.
We all do. Oh my God. We all have a list of them.
So I should make it a drinking game. But that being said, yeah, I mean, Rondor, like I had mentioned before, I felt that he had excuses for those 2-year-old starts. And then he comes back and he blitzes them by 10 3/4 in that main special weight, which wasn't run particularly fast either. And I mean, you see common opponent game if you want to do that with Bill Needle and Allegorical, right?
My big question with Rondor, because I think for all those reasons he could certainly win this race, is he peaked in his form cycle? Because he did run those 2 big top efforts, and now he's going to come back in 20 days doing something new for the first time. Mm-hmm. So just concerned on the fact that is he a little bit, too over the top coming into this race? That would be my concern when you're looking at a horse that was 1 second ago 4 to 1.
That's certainly a valid question. I cannot remember now off the top of my head because I've seen so many replays. If I recall, he did look like he was pretty well within himself when he was closing in there in the Queenston. But still, you're still running. You're still running a race. So it's definitely fair to wonder.
So if I'm betting with JD's money, I'll take Allegorical with Chase.
And then to kind of protect, well, not necessarily protect myself, but try a different way to hit with Allegorical. I'm going to key Duke of Love on top over Allegorical and also Fortaventura in an exacta, because those payouts are just great for the price.
And it is worth noting, Allegorical and Ontario-bred, he's one who probably is eyeballing the Queen's Plate, whereas some of these horses are not. So there's, looking at the long game here, this is a horse who they're trying to get this prep race into.
I selfishly also want Mannix to win, though, for DJ Stable. They're very, very cool.
All right, we've got 4 to load here. As mentioned, this is a prep race for the Queen's Plate. And if you're looking at the eligible horses that are running here, the 1, the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 7 are all Queen's Plate eligible as Ontario breds. We've got 1 more to load. Any final thoughts before we toss it to Robert Geller?
I'm sorry, I just Rondored out there. I just completely.
We all had a lot of thoughts here.
He looks great. Maddox looks great, if that means anything.
All right, here's the Grade 3 Marine.
Locked up. Off they run, and best into stride, unraptured. A lot of pace here being shown by Ironstone and Allegorical, and Ironstone throws it down early to come clear off the inside a bit from Allegorical. Room up the rail for Rondor to skip through and go into 4th spot as they settle into stride, but showing at a good clip. Ironstone away from the rail. He has got out to lead by a sizable margin of about 5 lengths to Allegorical and Rondor. Racing on the outside is Unraptured. In behind them, Duke of Love nestled up in the center. Mannix tucks in on the rails from the outside gate. Fuerteventura is the outside second last, and a length away last, Luck Macuzza. Ironstone plunged clear, but now they're coming after Ironstone up the backstretch. Ironstone racing a little ungenerously, but as often is the case, leads the way. Out by a couple of lengths to Rondua, within a length and a half now. In third placing, Allegorical. Mannix finding a seam up the inside. Duke of Love the center. Splitting horses is Fuerteventura. Getting back now, Unraptured. A nice setup for Luck Macuzza, who's a length away last of all. Out in front is Ironstone. They run along towards the 3.5. In front by a length to Rondua. Allegorical the outside. Mannix the rail from Duke of Love. Called upon in the center, making ground. Then Fuerteventura. Luck Macuzza starting to run up the inside from the back. And off the track is Unraptured. Rondua racing to Ironstone. Rondua in front has grabbed Ironstone. And as they turn in, the Marine coming home is Mannix. Got held up on the inside quite badly. Duke of Love's flashing home down the center. Rondua taken on by Duke of Love. Duke of Love trying to balance up, has the head on the side, but Rondua's raced away. Rondua grinding clear of the opposition in a massive win. Rondua stamps himself as a big threat in the Queen's Plate. Rondua canters in, wins the Marine 5 lengths and could have won by 10. Second, Duke of Love. Third, Ironstone. And then came Mannix. And on the outside, the rest were headed by Allegorical.
All right, a little less drama-wise than our previous race there, as at 4-1, Rondur kicks away from the rest of the pack there. Really, you saw Ironstone and a hard hold by Santos at one point, trying not to go too quick there. Any thoughts?
Well, first of all, good call, Emily. Hello. Yeah. That was great. The horse looked like a winner. I mean, coming from home, I mean, he had all the momentum. I do wonder what would have happened if Mannix hadn't got in tight, but I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the race itself. I think he would have maybe gotten off for second potentially, because obviously when you have to put on the brakes that way, it's a little sad. Ironstone was so keyed up. One of the things that people can see when a horse is rank, I think anybody, even if you're watching a race for the first time, could see a horse being very headstrong and pulling. Unfortunately, what happens when that head goes up that way, the neck hollows out the back because of how they're placed, and you're expending so much more energy. So I think it's pretty impressive that Ironstone was actually able to hold on for third after all it was all said and done. But Rondur, I mean, whatever that light bulb was that clicked on for him, boy, that's legitimate. Yeah.
Well, and for as professional as he was, Duke of Love, ran really well, but it's still very green and very goofy. All of those things that Dawn mentioned, he has ways of catching up mentally to his peers.
I think, you mentioned Ironstone running a good race to hold on for third, but I also feel like that definitely feels like an indicator to me that you do have that speed bias, because you didn't see Ironstone kind of fade out like as far as you would expect after being passed.
I would be inclined to agree.
They did. They slowed down in the second quarter. I mean, even the first quarter wasn't that crazy, but yeah.
And so when they slowed down, it was a great tactics by Rondur to get up there and actually force the issue and press the pace. I really think. He was physically great, but it was just a great ride tactically by Hernandez.
Although I do think we're gonna see Ironstone taken down in this inquiry. I mean, I'd have to see the replay again. I just saw Mannix have to check and pull up right on the rail there as they were turning for home. So I don't know if he was trying to make room that wasn't there, trying to slip in, or if the horse came over him. I would have to see that again.
Well, as Chase mentioned, it was a great ride on Rondur by Hernandez. There was a lot of not so good rides in there. Yeah, my job taking notes. I'm not looking forward to going back and looking at this one, because you got to do a lot of what ifs. I mean, when the pace gets weird sometimes when a front runner separates, and a lot of riders took back in that slow pace that were unable to recover. They went wide, and then that pace, that kind of destroyed Mannix as well, in addition to the trouble. So, and I also think a good one to watch back for sure.
Yeah, I also think Rafi Hernandez, just broke out and immediately, calmed the horse down, took the horse inside, and that was maybe, settling that horse who's a little goofy, as we've talked about here. Just settling and allowing an easy path forward for the first half mile probably made the difference in this one. Again, an inquiry. I don't know. We don't have the track audio up. I don't know if it's a claim of foul or a straight inquiry, because they post inquiry either way most of the time at Woodbine. But it did appear that Ironstone did potentially foul Mannix in the stretch, so we're going to stick around here and see the balance of the inquiry. But in terms of next steps, I think with the Ontario breds, obviously Rondor winning impressively. Nothing changes here in terms of the Queen's Plate, and potentially the Queen's Plate trial coming up later in the month for Rondor on Woodbine Oaks Day. Anybody else? Duke of Love, very impressive. Kind of continues on here. Do you think it's those two kind of moving forward, or do you think they're going to continue to give Ironstone a chance here, given that, this is going to be start number 9 in the career and, 3 potential thirds to start the 3-year-old campaign?
It wouldn't surprise me if they give him another chance.
And I honestly draw a line through Duke of Love's performance in this one going forward, and don't take into account how far back he was, what my perception of the bias would be. That I was kind of up against it with that trip. So, I'll try not to weigh this race too heavily in my decision of how Duke of Love moves forward next out.
Yeah, I think that's really the big picture when you zoom out, because it's a lot. We do this with the Derby preps as well. You're looking at this performance, but you need to be looking ahead. Are these horses developing? Did they benefit from, whether it was a profile, a trip, mistakes from others? All those things come into play. And then, as far as, where these horses are going to go, and again, like we see in the Derby, you just see a lot of horses that are going to run in the Queen's Plate that maybe just don't belong. But, you got to always take your shot. So it'll be interesting to see
in this year's Derby.
I think for Ironstone, I think cutting the horse back in distance would probably be the best thing. I don't think going longer is gonna assist him.
Yeah,
but what connections are going to end up doing? If they go to the Queen's Plate, they draw inside, try to wire the field again. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's hard enough to go a distance as it is for any horse, irrespective of anything, pedigree, anything. But it's especially hard for a horse to go a distance if they're expending energy unnecessarily. And this is just another instance of where he's run a bit headstrong. And I'm not a trainer. I've owned horses, but I'm not a trainer. But unless they really work with this horse on game call, maybe there's an equipment type change that they can make. I don't know.
Adler's also a very aggressive rider.
He was actually, I could see that he was trying to get the horse to relax. He really was trying hard without getting in his mouth, because we've also seen where jockeys overreact and they start fighting the horse, which then continues to expend the energy. Here it looked like he was trying everything he could do, get the horse calmed down, and it just, without getting into him, and it just, that head was up, that back was hollowed out, and it's just,
I think he's one that has an ability to light them up a little bit, kind of just being him, like his energy kind of gets them a little bit. He was a young rider at Suffolk when he was first starting out. And there are some riders you see that kind of quiet them the second they get on them. And there are some riders that kind of, they match horses will match your energy.
As we wait the results to go official here in the Marine, one thing we hadn't mentioned is we're actually going to get a look at the inquiry. I thought it was the stretch run, but they're looking earlier on the turn as well here. Again, this is for third place.
It was around the turn.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see if he tried to go in a spot that wasn't there.
See, there's one in the stretch I think is worse, but
it's like a little bit of both. Like Ironstone is kind of backing up, he's not quickening, and then there's really no space as Emma's trying to stay committed to the inside.
And one thing we don't want to lose sight of here as we look at this inquiry for third, that was the first career graded stakes win for trainer Katerina Vasilieva. So congrats to her. Always think of a very competitive, smaller barn at Woodbine, and she's had some runners and obviously won multiple stakes at Woodbine, but that is her first graded stakes winning the grade 3 here.
That's awesome. This is a long inquiry.
Yeah, this is. We had a long wait for a photo in our first race that ended up being a dead heat, and there is Katerina being talked to by Jeff Bratt here after her first graded stakes win. So we'll take things back out here, and final thoughts. Obviously, I don't want to look ahead because the Highlander was not a part of our assignments for today, which is a grade 2 coming up at Woodbine. But, looking ahead, actually should say looking back on the 2 races we saw today, I think one thing we can be, pretty impressed about is, as always, the quality of racing in these grade stakes at Woodbine is hard to match on the North American circuit.
Oh, it's top class. I think the turf filly division's really deep this year anyway, but they really showed up in Woodbine today.
Yeah. My final thought, that my total takeaway is just Lady Spite Spear is a freaking badass. I'm trying to fit that phrase in as much as I can, I guess. I already said that earlier, but she's just awesome. I love it.
We all have our phrases, right?
Yeah. When you see a horse just dig in like that, because one of my, I don't know, Private Zone would do stuff like that. He would dig in. He'd come back at you. Seattle Slew. If you watch that Jockey Club Gold Cup, and in that case, he lost, but still, horses that will come back after getting eyeballed, those are few and far between. And when you watch them actually go ahead and duke it out all the way to the wire like that, it's something very special. And I can't stress that enough to people who are kind of new to racing. It just gets you pumped. It's wow, this horse freaking loves what it's doing. And she's a boss mare. What can I say?
All right. I think we're going to...
we still have no answer for this.
We still do not have an answer to the inquiries.
I think they'll make the change. When it's that tight in the show finish. I haven't seen
no change.
To what I think is no change. Okay, well there we go. Now, what do I know?
Well, winners. That's for sure.
Yeah. There we go, guys.
Great job, everybody, today. We hope you took some advice from us and cashed a few tickets. Next up for us on the path to the plate will be Sunday, July 24th. We'll have the plate trial stakes, and hopefully that will be near the Woodbine Oaks on the card so we can cover both, but it will probably be next to either the Dance Smartly or the Woodbine Oaks, so we'll have a full-pack show here. Again, the Queen's Plate coming up on Sunday, August 21st. Tickets are available if you go to woodbine.com/queensplate. We'd love to see everybody out there if you can make the trip to Toronto. Beautiful track. Some construction, but still a beautiful track going on right now. They're building bigger and better things.
They have good food there.
Toronto as a whole has amazing food. You're going to have a hard time not being well-fed in
Very
Toronto.
important.
The priorities are in check here. I can appreciate that.
Food, honest to goodness, I think about food way more than anybody should probably.
No. We need all the serotonin we can get. I
go to Yelp, before I go to a restaurant, right? I go to Yelp. I'm going on this trip. What are the restaurants around there? Where are we going to go?
I will judge people if they tell me something's really good and it's something I view as terrible. That in movies, if those are the two things, I will judge.
But I am the person, I'm looking up the menus before I go to a restaurant because I also don't want to be sitting there forever. Okay.
That's
anyway.
Other people.
I think that's normal. I think that's normal.
I'm totally prepared.
Yeah. I read the past performances before I go to the restaurant as well. Nothing new.
Yeah. You want to spend money on something you like.
And it's July 4th weekend here in the States, so I think everybody's going to have some food they like and sit around with friends and family. And we wish you guys the best, and we will see you coming up on Sunday, July 24th for the Plate Trial Stakes. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Bye.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.